Can we safely say that Newcastle probably are the only team in the country that don't want the fans back in?
Yeah, I would imagine so, because if they were allowed to have fans back in and Steve Bruce is still there, then there will be absolute riots at St James's Park. Hello and welcome back to the Off The Crossbar Podcast with myself, Regan Walsh, and my co-presenter as always, Brad. How are you on this Monday afternoon?
I'm very well. I've gone shopping for a change this morning.
Jesus, are you feeling all right?
I feel bright and refreshed.
Getting stuff done before our podcast. Wow, that is something new for you.
Sorry, that's cool from you.
I'm always busy. You just don't know it. So we've had some fixtures over in the Premier League this past weekend, as well as the FA Cup, and over in continental Europe, with lots of talking points to come from around the world of football. We'll start off with the Premier League action, and it kicked off on Friday night at Craven Cottage between Fulham and Leeds United, and it was Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds that took the victory, winning 2-1 thanks to a Patrick Bamford goal and a Rafinha goal just before the hour mark. However, Joachim Andersen did score for Scott Parker's side, and Leeds did have an early goal ruled out by VAR after Luke Ayling thought he'd scored for Leeds. The result sees Leeds in 11th place on 39 points, whilst Fulham remain in 18th place on 26 points. What are your thoughts on the game, Brad?
Not too much. I think Leeds were fairly decisive in that one. They probably deserved it out of the two. But it was one of those games I think Fulham will look at and go, we probably should have looked to try and get something from it.
Yeah, they definitely will be disappointed, especially with how events turned out around this weekend. So I think a point is really what they needed, a minimum, to have that real fighting chance. I mean, it's obviously still there, but 1 point would be better rather than no points at all at this stage of the season. Like you said, Leeds took their chances more, and got to give credit to Bielsa's forward side there. But I think Fulham definitely going to be bitterly disappointed looking back at this one now, if they go down by like a point or so, realising that this was definitely a chance for them to have got a point this past weekend. Then on Saturday, the only game that took place was at the Amex Stadium between Brighton and Newcastle United, who are the two teams that we said on the preview show was a real 6-pointer, but it didn't turn out to be that case in the end, as Brighton went on to win 3-0 thanks to a Leandro Trossard goal just before half-time, and then Danny Welbeck and Neil Maupay scoring in the second half for Graham Potter's side. Comfortable win then in the end for the Seagulls. You've got to say they thoroughly deserved it, and Newcastle really are atrocious, aren't they?
We could get to Newcastle in a separate part, but I think we need to give Brighton their respect first before we destroy Steve Bruce, football genius.
Yes, so I mean, absolutely brilliant from the whole of the Brighton team, that whole game. I mean, took the chances, absolutely dominated it. I mean, looking here, they had 11 shots compared to Newcastle's 3, having 6 of them on target compared to Newcastle's 1. So, and they actually scored goals this time rather than having a bunch of shots and not scoring, which is what they have done in the past. So they really looked a lot more clinical and put the knife through Newcastle in that game.
Yeah, it was just weird to watch Brighton actually score more than one goal, but probably deserved, and it's literally the minimum they should have been expected considering what they were facing.
Yeah, I mean, that Newcastle side was just woeful. I don't even know what to say anymore about this Newcastle side. It just seems to be getting worse and worse as the weeks go on. The later we get into the season, you would think they would be putting up some sort of a fight to push themselves away from the bottom three, but they just don't seem to be doing that. They seem to be doing the exact opposite and allowing teams that are around them, especially in Brighton's case, to pull the pressure even more on Steve Bruce's side.
Yeah, but it's just every game now. The reaction just becomes even more nuclear.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how he's still there.
Can we safely say that Newcastle probably are the only team in the country that don't want the fans back in?
Yeah, I would imagine so, because if they were allowed to have fans back in and Steve Bruce is still there, then there will be absolute riots at St James's Park, especially if they were to get relegated as well.
I feel like it's been bad other times when they've been down there, like the past two relegation seasons. This just feels like another level.
I think I think the previous seasons they were been bad throughout the whole season, and a constant source of badness, and didn't really have the best players. Where this team, they have some okay players, but it just seems to be like a massive implosion that seems to have happened with them. And Steve Bruce seems to have had falling outs with players, and last season you would have both the Longstaff brothers playing, Matt Ritchie playing as well. I know they had that little falling out, Ritchie and Steve Bruce, but he needs to really look past that and choose his best 11, because at the minute he's not doing that, and that's why Newcastle are losing as often as they are and in that relegation fight.
Yeah, and to play devil's advocate a little bit, they can't technically play their best 11 right now because of injuries. So they're missing Wilson, Almiron, St Maximan.
Yeah.
They lost Hayden to the weekend as well.
Yeah, which looks to be a season-ending injury from the reports I've seen. But, I mean, I don't know, it just seems so strange. And then the fact that Darlow's been dropped for Dubravka, when, say, Darlow's probably easily been the better keeper out of the two this season.
I guess we could go back to the England squad last week. Someone was saying, does Darlow get like the third spot? And he ultimately missed out in the end to Sam Johnston.
Yeah. I think it is a real toss-up between them two. Obviously, with Pickford being injured, who would have got the third pick? And it's one of them where you can make a case for both. Like, Darlow has been Newcastle's stand-up player and made some excellent saves, but obviously Sam Johnson has also been doing the exact same for West Brom, and that's why they're not rooted to the bottom of the table and conceded more goals, because he actually has put in some decent performances together this season for West Brom.
But either way, the bacon is safe.
Yes.
He's going nowhere, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, I mean, the only way he goes is if he leaves himself in the summer.
Well, yeah, that's literally the latest he'd go. Like, imagine if he's there next season.
And they're playing championship football as well.
God.
Newcastle fans would go absolutely livid. Then on Sunday we had two games. We'll start off with the game at the London Stadium between West Ham United and Arsenal in a very entertaining game. So West Ham were 3-1 up by half-time thanks to Jesse Lingard wonder strike, Jared Bowen and Thomas Souček goal.
Sorry.
And
Jesse Lingard.
Souček scored the own goal.
There is a footballer on that pitch, but it's not Jesse Lingard. Not the one we know.
No. It's Lionel Messi-esque, how he's been playing. I mean, I think I saw a stat yesterday that since he's joined West Ham, no player in the Premier League has been involved in more goals or assists than him. Okay. It's unreal to say now, that is.
You know what was weird? This is almost comical, because I remember Villa being linked to him on loan at like the start of the season and everyone just laughing at it.
Yeah.
And obviously we ended up signing Ross Barkley, and now who looks the better player.
Oh, it's like day and night comparing the two players. However, that wasn't the end of the results, as in the second half, another in goal, this time by Craig Dawson, got Arsenal somewhat back into it, and then 8 minutes from time, Alexander Lacazette scored the equaliser to give Mikel Arteta's side a point. I mean, at one stage you thought West Ham were going to absolutely run away with this and dominate Arsenal,
Yeah.
but then they just seemed to implode in the second half.
I think it was more they were very conservative with their lead, and they were happy to see out the 3-0. The 3-1,
Yeah,
sorry.
3-1 at the time. I mean, I know what you're saying, and you would be happy with such a lead against Arsenal. At the same time, you can't be too defensive because they will find a way of breaking down your teams and eventually scoring the goals, which Arsenal, and it's proven costly to Mikel Arteta's side.
Yeah, and Martin Odegaard just looks very good as well.
Yeah, it's a shame that, as far as I'm aware, they don't have a buy option in his deal. This summer, it was just a loan deal until the end of the season.
Yeah,
Whether they do then
let's
go
be
to
honest,
make
there's
a move
no
for
there's
him,
no way Arsenal are permanently signing him.
it wouldn't surprise me if they tried to make another loan move for him.
No, no
They can't
chance.
sign him permanently.
I don't think there's much of a chance in that personally.
Really?
No.
Okay. The result sees Arsenal stay in 9th place with 42 points, whilst West Ham remain in 5th with 49 points. And then the other game that took place this past weekend in the Premier League was at Villa Park between Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspurs, and it was Jose Mourinho's side that won 2-0 thanks to a Carlos Vinicius goal and a penalty from Harry Kane. Your thoughts on the game?
Where do I fucking start? Just so devoid of just any creativity. It's laughable.
Yeah.
Couldn't be any more different from the team that was playing between September and December.
Yeah, I don't know what it is that's hit us so badly. Surely Jack Grealish can't have that much of an influence in the team.
Yeah. So every week I'm saying we're not a one-man team. But we were just not. There's clearly other players that are clearly capable of trying to step up.
Yeah.
But this game just says otherwise.
I completely agree. They just looked down and out. No one seemed to be able to create a bit of spark in the team to try and give us a bit of hope. And
It summed it up where it said we had all that possession, but we hadn't had a single attempt on goal in like the first 50 minutes, I think it was.
Well, you only had one shot on target the whole game.
Yeah, and that was the second we brought our Algazian because he just loves to shoot randomly from outside the penalty area.
Yes. Speaking of the penalty area, Harry Kane won a penalty 22 minutes from the end of the game. It's one of them.
It's a pen. What was he diving in?
Yeah. I understand your straight instant, but it's one of them where I'm like, could it be given? Does it need to be given? Has Kane made the most of it? Probably so, but
is it Mark Dean refereeing? Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes. Give it.
True. So, good result for Jose Mourinho's side to get back into winning ways after their humiliation in the Europa League on Thursday night.
It's another case of the Villa charity striking again. Tottenham needed a massive boost after doing the traditional Spurs thing in midweek, and we happily gave it to them.
Definitely. So the result is
our season's over now. Our season just finishes. We have nothing left to fight for.
I mean, it wasn't 2 minutes ago that you were shouting that you can get the top 7 and get a spot in Europe. It seems to have all changed suddenly in the last 2 weeks or so.
Because I'm now feeling convinced that Grealish is out for the season and they're just not telling us.
If that is the case, wow.
Can they tell him to stop coming in his... We need to talk about his fashion sense as well if you saw all that last night.
Was it him in that white Nike tracksuit?
I wonder who he's sponsored by. Is there enough ticks on that? Or
it was so bad. I didn't see the game, but I have seen Was Gary Neville and Rob Hawthorne on commentary reacting to it?
Remember, they were more interesting talking about him than the actual game itself. Ridiculous.
But yeah, it was a horrible outfit that he had on.
He's still my prince.
The result sees Spurs in 6th place with 48 points, a point behind West Ham, and Aston Villa down in 10th now with 41 points. However, they do have a game in hand over Arsenal. This past weekend also saw the return of the FA Cup. We're at the quarterfinals stage now, and on Saturday lunchtime, the game at the Vitality Stadium saw Southampton beat fellow South Coast side Bournemouth 3-0, with goals coming from Musa Janempo, Nathan Redmond scoring a brace. However, things could have been different after Cameron Carter-Vickers thought he scored for Bournemouth. However, it was disallowed by VAR. And then things could have also got worse for them in the second half after Shea Adams also had another goal disallowed. You got to say, once Southampton got going, it was fairly comfortable for them.
Yeah, as it really should have been, considering the level of quality between the sides. But it was just funny watching them all complain about Redmond starting, and then he went and scored twice for him.
Yeah, I think it was one of them though, where at times he hasn't really been that clinical for Ralph Hasenhüttl's side in recent weeks. But like I said to you on Friday, this could be the type of game that Southampton need just to give that bit of flair back into their season and kickstart them all again. And it seemed to work, especially for Nathan Redmond.
Yeah, getting to Wembley should be a boost for any team, and even more so for them considering how long it's been since they've been there.
Yeah. The other game on Saturday, which took place in the evening at Goodison Park between Everton and Manchester City, and it was the Citizens that won 2-0 to keep up their chance of a quadruple, with 2 late goals, one from Ilkay Gundogan and the other from Kevin De Bruyne.
It was looking precarious for a second, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I was thinking, come on, lads, I've been G'ing you up on the preview show. I was like, if there's going to be game changers in this game, it'll be Gundogan and De Bruyne. It took him way too long to get involved. Obviously, De Bruyne didn't come on until the last 10 minutes of that game, but they managed to get the job done in the end and get the victory that they needed.
Quadruple's still on there.
Realistically, do you think they can do it?
I feel that their toughest opposition is actually in the Champions League.
Yeah, which we will get onto shortly as the draw was made on Friday. But I think the treble is still on.
The domestic treble is...
Yeah, the domestic treble
more or less theirs at the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't see... Unless they ever slip up in the FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah, which we'd get to.
Yeah, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, I think the treble should be easy for them. Now on to yesterday's fixtures, or Sunday. First game took place at Stamford Bridge between Chelsea and Sheffield United, and it was Thomas Tuchel's side that won 2-0. An Oliver Norwood own goal after 24 minutes gave the Blues the lead, and then a goal in stoppage time from Hakim Ziyech continued Chelsea's unbeaten stretch to make it 14 in all games, and they will head into the semi-finals. Little surprised it wasn't more. That's all I'm going to say.
Now, this is exactly what I expected. I didn't expect the thrashing. I expected your average cup quarter final that wasn't going to be anything that entertaining, and the side you'd expect to win just pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's what it was. And then the final game in this year's quarterfinals.
This game I have way more enough time for.
Between Leicester City and Manchester United, and it was Brendan Rodgers' side that won 3-1 with a brace coming from Kelechi Iheanacho, Yuri Tielemans scoring the other goal, and Mason Greenwood scoring the sole goal for Manchester United. Right, onto the semi-final draw now.
Wow, well, we're going to just skip this, are we? Your season's all but over.
Yeah, it's horrendous performance from Manchester United. Absolutely woeful. Yeah. I mean, fortunately for United, which we'll get into a bit, they've had the look at the draw there, but another poor poor performance from Manchester United and Fred once again in this game. I don't even know what to say anymore. I really don't.
Realistically, do you completely blame Fred, or does something have to go on Maguire, maybe?
It's a bit of both, but I think it would slightly a bit more on Fred than Maguire for me.
It's no Freddie the Red, is it?
No.
We just had a tiny bit on the magic man that is Kelechi Iheanacho.
Oh, agreed. He has been absolutely superb in recent weeks for Brendan Rodgers' side, and he's continued to do so again yesterday in his performance against Manchester United. And it's finally looking like his feet is starting to pay off, maybe, for Leicester City, considering he hasn't really been the best of players at Leicester previously. He had scored the occasional goal in that, but I've got to say now, especially in the last two games, he's looked really good for Leicester City.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult for him, considering he joined Leicester from Man City, where he would have hoped to have made it. That wasn't the case. He'd been replaced by Gabriel Jesus, I believe. That's what happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't even straightforward when he first joined Leicester, because I think he thought, right, I'm going to be straight in here and tear it up, which didn't happen.
No, and he has had a long road to get to where he is now, and it's credit to him.
He slightly had to humble himself, I think.
Oh, massively. Because, like you said, he comes from Manchester City into Leicester City. He would have thought, oh, okay, you're automatically the starter here, and I'm going to be the one that's scoring them the goals. But Leicester knew Jamie Vardy was always going to score goals for them, so why would you change something?
And it's interesting
when it's working.
Vardy's sort of been out of sorts recently, and if he's, don't want to say he's regressing, it's very early to say that, but if they now start pushing him out, or his role becomes lessened, they have a ready-made replacement.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. It's one of them where if they allow, say, Iheanacho to play more advanced than Vardy, it could become like a really good partnership if Vardy starts to just drop off a bit from Iheanacho and play some good football between the two of them. It could become a really fruitful partnership.
Yeah, because they've been playing 3-4-1-2 a lot more this season, which has benefited them and their midfield.
100%. And a special shout out to Yuri Tielemans again, because what an absolute baller he is.
Yeah.
He's such joy to watch when he plays for Leicester City and the Belgian team. Right, on to the semi-finals now. The draw was made at half-time of the Man United-Leicester game, and it sees Chelsea take on Manchester City and Leicester take on Southampton.
There's only one game we want now for that final. Chelsea
versus Southampton.
What the hell would I want that? That's the worst option.
Chelsea-Leicester?
It has to be Leicester-Man City. Look, it just has to. Who's the one team Man City haven't beat this year?
Leicester
this season.
Yeah.
They haven't played them since the 5-2.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know when the second scheduled fixture is meant to be. Maybe it's later on in the season. But yes, it's definitely... it's after the international break, actually.
Perfect timing.
Yes. So,
I'm all in on Leicester now winning it. I want them to win it. It's not my prediction they are going to win it. I really want them to win it.
Be interesting to see what the flutters are at the bookies as to Leicester winning the overall tournament.
I also wanted to see if Gary Lineker can remain neutral.
Oh God, no! If Leicester get to the final, he's not remaining neutral.
He's only got to be in Leicester shirt.
100%. The semi-finals will take place over the weekend of the 17th of April, with obviously both ties being played at Wembley Stadium. Right, on to the rest of the world of football now. Into the European leagues, we'll start off over in Germany. Bayern Munich beat Stuttgart 4-0. Once again. Robert Lewandowski scored a hat-trick and Serge Gnabry scored as well, and that was despite Alphonso Davies getting sent off early in the game for
and that was just the first half.
Yeah, I mean, they could have easily scored a lot more goals in that game, and it could have been an absolute hooner of an evening for Stuttgart. But once again, Lewandowski doing what he does best.
He's breaking that record.
I now can't say he won't break that record. I genuinely do believe he will be able to get this record.
We were saying he needs to average like a goal a game, and now he scored a hat-trick.
Yeah, it's one of them where he definitely can now have like a few games where he doesn't score, but I think he still has enough time to break that record. Elsewhere in the Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund played out a 2-2 draw with Cologne. Erling Haaland scored a brace for Borussia Dortmund, so obviously anything Lewandowski can do, Haaland can also do.
Do we reword that as like Haaland actually saves Dortmund?
Oh yes, he does, because they were 2-1 down for 25 minutes before Haaland scored an equaliser just before stoppage time for the black and yellow.
He was also a rock bundle of joy at the full-time whistle.
Was he? I haven't seen.
Have you not seen it?
Not didn't really pay attention to much of the Bundesliga this past weekend, actually.
You haven't even seen the clip. It's full-time, so basically full-time whistle's gone. I think he did it like slightly before he takes his shirt off, just throws it at one of the Cologne players, walks straight down to him.
Fair enough.
And then obviously that's now starting to think, he's leaving Dortmund.
Yeah, I mean, I did see just before we started, apparently, that he said to Mino Raiola, his agent, that if they don't get Champions League this season, he wants to leave.
It looked like it was the reaction of a very frustrated bloke who feels like he's carrying the team.
I mean, he well and truly is. I mean, out of the 54 goals that they've scored in the league this season, he scored 21 of them, with their next best being Jadon Sancho on 6 in the league. That is, which is no. I mean, your first striker, you always want 20 to 25, even 30, and then you want everyone else into double figures, and at this rate, it doesn't look like that's happening. Elsewhere, Wolfsburg kept on their. Go on.
I was going to try and segue that perfectly into something else, because obviously they're being taken over by Marco Rose in the summer, current Mönchengladbach manager, and who is replacing him as Mönchengladbach manager?
Xavi Alonso is set to become the new Borussia Mönchengladbach manager, and speaking of Mönchengladbach, they beat bottom side Schalke 3-0 with Lars Stindl, Stefan Leiner, and an own goal from Frederic Rono gave Marco Rose's side the 3 points. Schalke are just awful. There's nothing else to say about them this season. They have been absolutely awful. Mönchengladbach obviously in 10th. How do you think, speaking of Xavi Alonso, if this all does go ahead and it is confirmed by Mönchengladbach, how do you think he will fare at them, as it will be his first senior role, as he's currently Real Sociedad B manager?
It's hard to judge.
How do you think he will get on?
Hard to judge, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a massive step up from the B team of a Spanish club, no matter how well that Spanish club is doing.
Yeah.
We won't know until it happens.
Yeah, he's done, like, in his playing career, he did well in Germany with Bayern Munich, but I'm not too sure as to like what his management style is, obviously, because no one follows Real Sociedad B that closely. How he intends to play is definitely going to be something to watch next season at Mönchengladbach. So it's going to be a proper eye-opener for him, and I think the rest of the German league. And speaking of the rest of the German league, RB Leipzig won on Friday night, beating Arminia Bielefeld 1-0, thanks to a Marcel Sabitzer goal after 46 minutes. And speaking of Leipzig, they have announced the signing of Mohamed Simakin from Strasbourg, who will join in the summer, as he will replace the outgoing Deo Upamecano. And finally, the other big team in the Bundesliga, by Leverkusen, they lost 3-0 to Hertha Berlin, with Teofsio Zifuik, I've probably butchered that name, Matthias Cunha and Jon Cordoba scoring the goals for Hertha. Right, over in France now, Monaco beat Saint Etienne 4-0. Nice beat Marseille 3-0. Montpellier beat Bordeaux 3-1. Nimes beat Lille 2-1 in the shock of the weekend over in France. And PSG got back to winning ways in the league, beating Lyon 4-2, with Kylian Mbappe scoring a brace, Danilo Pereira and Angel Di Maria, the goal scorers for Mauricio Pochettino's side. A result that sees them leapfrog Lille and go to the top of the league on goal difference.
If there's only one thing I can add on French football, it's what on earth is the colour scheme with PSG's away kit?
The pink and purple.
Whatever it is.
Was it? Yeah, I have no idea with PSG with some of their kit colours over the past few years, but very interesting. Right, over to Italy now.
For me, there's only one game we can go on this, and we all know what that is.
Yes. Table toppers Inter Milan had their game against Sassuolo postponed due to a positive case in the Sassuolo camp, was it? Or was it two in the Inter?
I've no idea.
I can't remember. Atalanta beat Hellas Verona 2-0. Roma lost 2-0 to Napoli. AC Milan beat Fiorentina 3-2. Lazio beat Udinese 1-0. And the talking point of the weekend happened at the Allianz Stadium in Turin as Juventus lost 1-0 to Benevento thanks to an Adolfo Gaich goal. What do you say to that?
Seriously, lads, how are you going to go and lose to a team that hasn't won in 10?
16th place, Benevento have conceded 52 goals this season. That's the third most in the Italian top division. And you lose to them? How?
If there's anything that just sums up Juventus' season, it's what happened in this game.
It's not even like they played a poor team. Like their star players, Ronaldo, Morata, Artur, Rabiot, Chiesa, Kulusevski, their whole team are full of stars, and they somehow managed to lose to Benevento despite dominating on possession, despite dominating shots and shots on target. Like Benevento's only shot on target was their goal. It's absolute madness. So with the results, it sees Juventus stay in third on 55 points, AC Milan in second on 59, and Inter remain top of the table on 65 points. With that, last European or Champions League spots very close between Atalanta, Napoli and Roma, with 5 points separating the three sides. Right, on to Predictions League now. This is where obviously we put on our predictions for the games on Friday, and we get the points. So
just the games we covered.
Not this week. It was actually a good week for yourself. So
that's right.
We've had the 6 games were Fulham versus Leeds, Brighton Newcastle, West Ham Arsenal, Roma Napoli, Lyon PSG, and Besiktas versus Fenerbahce. So Fulham versus Leeds, I get the score 1 point for getting the score right, wrong team. Then Brad gets 2 points for the Brighton Newcastle game for predicting a Brighton win.
I've just realised something.
What?
We broke our cardinal rule.
Oh yeah. How have it taken us until Monday afternoon to realise that we shouldn't have put Leeds in it, considering we banned them?
And they fucking won, the bastards.
Honest to God. I can't believe it's taken us this long to realise it.
Both of us yet again. They've screwed us.
Right. We need to write this down somewhere. Leeds are well and truly banned. We can't allow them in anymore. Right, back to what I was saying. Brighton Newcastle, Brad gets 2 points for predicting a Brighton win. West Ham Arsenal, we were both wrong as we both predicted West Ham wins. Brad gets 2 points for predicting Napoli would beat Roma. Me and you, we both get 2 points for predicting PSG would beat Lyon. And Prat gets points for 2 points for Besiktas Fenerbahce, as it was a draw, but the wrong score. So looking back at this weekend sees you on 88 points and me on 117. Later on this week, go on.
So if I do them, it's 29 points. So I've definitely decreased that by a good margin this week.
Yeah, you had a really good week. When we do it later on this week, I don't even know what we'll probably do it on the lower leagues and some random leagues that aren't covering.
There's enough World Cup qualifiers on.
True. So that could be interesting.
Get in the international break spirit.
Not going to happen. As we mentioned, the Champions League draw took place on Friday afternoon after our podcast had come live. So we're just going to react to the draw now. I don't think we didn't speak about it. So the quarterfinal draws sees Real Madrid face Liverpool, Manchester City versus Borussia Dortmund, FC Porto will play Chelsea, and Bayern Munich will play Paris Saint-Germain. All 4 ties are going to be great to watch.
Yes, and I got 2 of them.
Yes.
2 of them were the ones I wanted.
So you definitely can't complain there.
Yeah. Erling Haaland is going to single-handedly end the quadruple.
Definitely so. So Real Madrid versus Liverpool, Man City versus Dortmund will take place on the 6th of April, and the day after the other 2 games will be played or kick off at 8 o'clock UK time.
And I don't know what. I know Germany's COVID laws have changed, so it's whether Man City will be told to play in Budapest again. We don't really know.
I'm not too sure whether they have been confirmed for the places as to where them will take place. And then, so the winner of quarterfinal 3, which I believe was, I did have it actually written down, the ties. Give me 2 seconds of how the semi-finals will go. Okay, if you do, I'll let you crack on with it.
Because I believe there's the potential for Liverpool-Chelsea in the semi-finals. And then it would be...
right, so the semi-final, the winners of Bayern Munich and PSG will face the winners of Manchester City versus Borussia Dortmund, and the winners of Real Madrid Liverpool will face the winners of FC Porto versus Chelsea.
So we have a potential semi-final of Pep facing his old club, and the ultimate nostalgia semi-final in Liverpool-Chelsea.
Yes, which should be very interesting if we do get them semi-finals to happen.
Take me back to 2005.
Indeed. Following the Champions League draw, they also did the...
I think Jamie Carragher might have been right,
Why? What did Jamie Carragher say?
This is what he said. If we went back for, did you see it? If you see that clip, he was talking about either 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he was talking about Liverpool. It's written Liverpool will go to win the Champions League this year. Because I think it was they beat Real Madrid or at some point in that run. Then they have the potential Chelsea semi-final. And where's the final this year?
Istanbul. So people are really saying that's written in the stars for them. Oh gosh, that's a bit of a stretch. The Europa League draw was made afterwards, and that saw only one real interesting time. That's Ajax will play Roma. The other draws saw Dynamo Zagreb play Villarreal, Ajax play Roma, and Granada will play Manchester United.
But that's not what people care about, really. It's the way the bracket has worked out.
Yes, so it means Manchester United and Arsenal, if they were to get to the final, will avoid each other and not play each other, obviously, until the final, should they get there.
And yeah, on paper they should. Well, you would expect both of them maybe to reach the final. But of course, if Arsenal are going to do it, there is the potential of them facing Villarreal in the semi-final. And who is the Villarreal manager?
Good evening. Unai Emery.
It'd be so comical if they get to the series and then Unai Emery knocks them out.
Oh, that would be brilliant. Yes, indeed. It would be absolutely hilarious if Unai Emery is the man that knocks them out of the Europa League.
But if I'm being honest, it'd be even more hilarious to see Man United get knocked out by a team that sounds like a Spanish Villa.
But Granada. Just a bit of, not transfer news, but contract news. In the last few minutes, Fabrizio Romano has said Neymar Jr. is on the verge of signing a new contract with Paris Saint-Germain until June 2026. Last details to be sorted soon. A huge bonus will be included in the agreement if PSG win the Champions League in the time that he signs his contract. So that is good news for Nasser Al Khelaïfi and co.
It is pretty good. And this is, because you said that news, this is almost perfect segue for this.
Something weird is going on. Shit! Did you see that?
This is obviously the bit of the show where we talk about things you may have not have seen in the world of football. And Brad, you have one for us this week, which I'll let you fire away with.
I do, and if you've realised, it does concern Mr. Neymar Jr. himself. So, it would appear that he's been playing a lot on Tinder recently.
Okay. Not the Neymar news I saw this week, but whatever.
Well, you've not seen that he's got a Tinder account?
No.
Completely verified and everything?
You can get verified on Tinder. That's
Yeah,
a weird one, but whatever.
It appears so, even if you're not the real Neymar.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so the story is, someone pretended to be Neymar on Tinder, and they verified.
How on earth can you be so fucking crazy to think that it would be the actual Neymar Jr. that would be on Tinder? Come on.
It's still not even the craziest part. Because Neymar himself found out.
Oh, Jesus.
And he's all on board with it.
Oh, for God's sake.
He found out, took it rather well, and said in, I think, an Instagram post, like, I hope they are representing well.
Absolutely crazy. I've just realised when we was wrapping up the European leagues, we haven't spoke about La Liga.
Did anything happen?
Barcelona continued their winning streak. They're now beaten in 18 league matches, if I am correct in thinking. Real Madrid beat Celta Vigo's 3-1, and Atletico Madrid just about beat Alaves 1-0, and Lionel Messi became the all-time record appearance holder for Barcelona as he scored a brace, as well as a brace from Sergino Dest as they beat Real Sociedad 6-1.
That didn't get as much attention this weekend. I didn't even know that scoreline.
Yeah, it happened last night. That was the last game of the weekend in Spain.
There's something else I could that I saw. I think Suarez scored for what was his 500th career goal.
Yes, and he said, well, he had so he was wearing his normal Puma boots, and then at halftime he changed into like a special made pair for the 500 goal that Puma had gave him.
Typical Suarez, that.
Yes. Right, and the final bit of news, which is
well, we did segue quite quickly from Neymar. It was just nice to see that he didn't try and Tinder like up his sister or anything.
For now, I mean, he doesn't need to go on Tinder. He just needs to get injured again, and then he'll be back around her house in 2 minutes with him. Right, so the final bit of news, which is absolutely massive and great news, is Sky Sports and BBC have announced they will show the Women's Super League, so the Women's Premier League, from next season on a 3-year deal. It is reportedly set to be 8 million per season. Sky will show 45 live games, with 35 of them being on either Sky Sports Premier League, Sky Sports Main Event, or Sky Sports Football. And the will show up to 22 games with a minimum of 18 being on BBC One and BBC Two. They've also confirmed that all of the games that aren't on the BBC and Sky will continue to be shown on the free app, that is the the FA Player. So that is absolutely great news in the world of the women's game, and it is said to be the biggest TV package done for the women's game in the world of football, which is absolutely incredible. And hopefully it is just the start of it, and we get to see the rise of the women's game continuing more and more over the next few years, especially with the Euros taking place in England next summer. Speaking of the women's game, there's only two. Do you want to say something on that before I continue?
No, I was just saying, it's just nice to see it happen. Got us about a damn time.
Yeah. The two games that took place in the WSL this past weekend, on Friday night, Arsenal beat Manchester United 2-0. An own goal from Militana gave Joe Montemurro's side an early lead, and then just after half-time, Lotte Wubben-Moy headed home Katie McCabe cross to give Arsenal a 2-0 victory, and that was despite playing the last half an hour with 10 players after Beth Mead saw a second yellow card, which means that Arsenal have kept the pressure right up on Manchester United, and there's now 3 points between the two sides in the last place for the UEFA Champions League. And then the final game that took place this weekend...
If I could just cut in there, because I know you say you're neutral, which is a disgrace, in my humble opinion. Only one of them can win the league. Which one wins it?
Well, I mean, it's not happening this season, but I'd say I want Man United to win it because they're the newer team to the WSL compared to Arsenal, and Arsenal have won it in the past.
There you go. No more spying Arsenal then.
Nope, not happening. Arsenal will always be the team or other team for me because I've watched them for longer in the WSL. And the final game that took place was at Arsenal's North London rivals, even not rivals, at the Hive Stadium as Tottenham and Bristol City played out a 1-1 draw. Siri Vorm scored an excellent free kick after 3 minutes for Rhiannon Skinner's side, but Gemma Evans' header shortly after half-time meant the points were shared between the two sides, and the result sees Bristol City come off the bottom of the table and overtake West Ham by a point. However, West Ham do have 2 games in hand over Bristol, and Tottenham remain in 8th place on 17 points. As I said on the preview show this weekend, you'll be able to watch all the WSL games on the FA Player or on TV as they are kicking off at different times. So once one game's finished, you'll be able to watch the other, with 3 games on Saturday and the other 3 being playing on Sunday. Right. Any more?
No,
or is
really.
that it?
I believe that's it, but we just now have to look forward to everything that's going to happen this and next week.
As we enter the international break.
You have not been missed.
Yeah. No. I'm not looking forward to it at all.
You could sound
that's
proud we sound.
Yeah, but even if it isn't international friendlies, World Cup qualifiers are still as boring, considering England are in a group with a bunch of farmers, quite literally.
That's very rude to San Marino.
Most of them have part-time jobs, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of them was actually a farmer, so not that rude.
I think you'll find he's a part-time banker.
Say that well enough and you'd be right about the England manager. He is a part-time banker. Right, that is the end of it. We'll be back later on this week to look ahead to the international fixtures for the home nations sides and preview all the games that we have in the Women's Super League and any other news that comes out throughout the course of this week. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and turn on post notifications if you are listening to us on YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating if you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, and download us if you are listening to us on Spotify. And make sure you follow us on Twitter so you can have all the latest news and stories from around the world of football. And that is the @ is OFFTC Pod. So that's OFFTCPOD. And until later on this week, it's goodbye from
Do you
me.
think they can't spell it?
It's just for clarity, because you never know sometimes.
I know we're
with,
recording right now,
some
but I
people.
can happily say that it's actually written on the screen. Just look at the bottom
I'm
right.
looking at it. Is it? Oh, on my screen, it's not.
For those video listeners, this. If you're watching us on YouTube.
Okay. Yes.
I love how
And you can
confused
also
got
click
then
on
as
the
well.
link. And you can also click the link in the YouTube description, because I believe it's there. Or is it on the YouTube channel page that you can click the link and it will send you to the Twitter page as well?
That's it.
Either way, we'll
The audio
we'll
listeners haven't got a clue
see.
what's happening right now.
Yes. We'll see you at the end of the week to look ahead to all the fixtures from around the world of football. Until then, it's goodbye from me and goodbye from my co-presenter, Brad.
See ya.
We'll see you soon.